Hi guys, welcome to the Gaming Wiki, or I was about to say welcome back to another video. This is my first video on this channel. Anyway, if you clicked on this video to be informed about a device that you've never heard of before, great. If you have clicked on this video to learn about a device that you've heard of before and want to learn more about it, that's great too. So,
sorry.
my brother's kind of playing a game here, so that you might hear a little bit of feedback, but it's not going to interfere. So, what we're going to be talking about in today's video is a device that I'd never heard of before, and I'm going to take it and show you this real quick, and I'm going to flip over here to see if you can see that. I just dropped my Santa pencil that I'm using to look cool. That is the Nintendo DS and Wii Wi-Fi USB connector. My first thought when looking at this device was, wait a minute, why do I need this? Doesn't the Wii and the DS already have Wi-Fi connectability at launch in 2004 and 6 when the DS and Wii respectively came out? That's what I thought too. But I did a little more digging, and this device isn't exactly made for the purpose that you thought it was. The Nintendo DS and Wii Wi-Fi USB connector was released... I don't know when it was released. I can imagine it was released sometime in 2007, because that's a little after the Wii came out. But basically, this device is something that you plug into your computer, not your Wii or DS. As you know, like I previously stated, the DS and Wii have Wi-Fi connectability. But Nintendo kind of got to thinking, what if you don't have Wi-Fi? What if you have a LAN or an Ethernet connectability? Well, this is a simple fix for that problem. Much like some of these handheld car kits you see nowadays for your radio in your car, if you don't have an AUX or Bluetooth connectability in your car, this device plugs into the cigarette lighter in your car and powers it and makes it its own little radio station. What this does is something similar. If you have an Ethernet or a LAN connection, you plug it into the USB port in your computer, which I can imagine even in 2006, most computers, if they're even slightly new, had them. Excuse me. But, in my throat. You would plug that in, and it would make it its own little Wi-Fi network. That way you could connect your DS and your Wii to it. Now, what happened? Why isn't this something you've ever heard of before? Well, as I said, it was likely released in sometime in 2007. Now, what happened was it ran smooth for however long it was out, but somewhat without notice on the Nintendo website on November 15th, 2007, a statement was issued by Nintendo saying that the device was discontinued until further notice. Now, in September 8th, 2008, Nintendo announced the Nintendo Wi-Fi network adapter, an 802.11g Wi-Fi wireless router bridge, which serves a similar purpose, but that's not the device we're talking about here. Let's talk about the functionality. It's a rebranded Buffalo WLI U2KG54YB, which, if you are thinking you don't know what that is, neither do I. I'm kind of reading this stuff. I've read over it. But it's a device that I'm assuming did the same thing. Buffalo is the company that helped Nintendo make this device. It's based on a Raylink RT2570 chipset, and as is such, different from most other Wi-Fi adapters, and it can operate as a software access point. Few adapters could do this under Windows at the time, so the Nintendo Wi-Fi USB connector was kind of a neat little idea, something that hadn't been done. Let's get into some criticism. There's been a number of complaints since its release. I'm sorry I keep scratching over here. I need to get a haircut, and my hair is messing with my ear. But okay, proprietary authentication. Proprietary authentication in my own words. James, calm, quiet. In my words, proprietary authentication is kind of like the region lockout chips. This authentication program inside the device made it so Nintendo had to approve the system that you were running it on. Now, that does... Sorry, brain fart. This was done as somewhat of a security measure because it prevents outside parties or third-party developers, or not developers, but people, from connecting to the USB adapter with their computers and accessing the internet's connection or computer. So pretty much if you were somewhere or near people who had the technology to hack your stuff and take your info, this was done as a somewhat security measure. Now, the operating system. Initially, the Wi-Fi USB connector only supported Microsoft Windows XP. Something I did leave out. The system runs kind of like the Game Boy Player did. You had to put a disc in, and instead of telling the device to interface with the USB connector like the Game Boy Player's disc did, this contained the software needed to operate the system. Now, if you for some reason picked one up, or later in its lifespan, not today, because I'm assuming it wouldn't work, but if you picked one up after its release, I would have recommended you not use the software and go to a Nintendo website to download the current software, because the software updated pretty quick. Now, anyway, the main concern was the lack of support for older versions of Windows, principally Windows 2000. After the introduction of the Windows Vista, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, operating system, criticism shifted to a lack of support for the new platform. Vista drivers were eventually released by Nintendo of Europe and America respectively, but it was 2 years after the first Windows XP drivers were available, and several months after Vista's launch. There is no official support for Windows 7, but it is possible to install working drivers under compatibility mode, which I can only assume is a modification mode that you can put the device in. Now, you can also use these to connect with Linux and BSD when operating with the appropriate drivers. And really, Debian and Debian-based systems were the ones that, such as Ubuntu, I don't know what that is, have out-of-box support in the chipset of the device. Additionally, there is no support with Windows XP Professional x64 Edition, the 64-bit operating system, and it supports no 64-bit operating systems. It only works with the 32-bit systems. Now I'm going to go down a little bit.
I hate
James, quiet down. The firewall compatibility. Though it's not an innate fault with the Wi-Fi USB connector itself, due to the nature of the device, a software firewall, like those commonly installed in Microsoft Windows computers, hosting the Wi-Fi USB connector will interfere with its operation. So pretty much if you've got virus protection, it will interfere with it. So your only options were to either disable or delete the system, leaving you as a possible victim of a cyber attack, or you have to go in and manually make lots of changes to make it compatible. Now, skip along a little bit, and let's go to the connector, the packaging. It includes the USB extension cable, a manual, and the software CD that I mentioned previously. And as I mentioned, the disc, you shouldn't use the original disc. Devices shipped with the software driver versions 1.05 are incompatible with Vista until updated. Now, let's go into the discontinuation. Nintendo has not come forward explaining a direct reason for the device's continuation. As I previously stated, the website simply says discontinued until further notice, and as far as I know, it still says this to this day. But the manufacturers of the device, Buffalo Technology, are reportedly no longer allowed to distribute the device due to a successful recent lawsuit by the Australian government's technology research agency known as the CSIRO, or the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. As a result, the company has been prevented from trading in any products adhering to the 802.11/AG standards in the U.S., including but not limited to the Wi-Fi USB connector. Nintendo, however, only states on their website, like I said, that it's discontinued until further notice and that a standard wireless router should work on the Wii. Here's their official statement. Please note the Nintendo Wi-Fi USB connector has been discontinued until further notice. As an alternative for online access, Wii owners can use a standard wireless router or the Wii LAN adapter, but no alternative method for the DS is listed. So that about wraps this video up. Unfortunately, I do not have one to show you guys, but I may attempt to get one so I can do a little update video. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions for other devices, games, or even consoles that you'd like me to review, drop a comment down below. Like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. See you next time. Have a blessed day.